Well, Christine, I mean, I think reflecting today on the position, I'd say, isn't it remarkable that I've been in government for 11 and a half years, and 7 of those years we've been dealing with Brexit and the consequences of Brexit. I will always remember the morning of the 24th of June when I had to walk into number 6, surrounded by Spanish television cameras, knowing that they were cock-a-hoop and they saw this as an opportunity for Spain. This was what was being said on all of the studios where interviews were going on. Señor Margallo in particular was interviewed intensely in that period. And I'll always remember that I had felt absolutely terrible, of course, as people in Gibraltar generally felt, but that I knew that I had to have a business as usual face on, and that I had to show the best of Gibraltar's ability to pick itself up by its bootstraps when the result of any consequential thing, whether it's an election or a referendum, might be affecting the people of Gibraltar. And doing that actually made me feel like it was business as usual. And I came into the office to see the Deputy Chief Minister and to see the Attorney General, the rest of the ministerial team as well, and say, right, we've got to get on with it. Let's start with heat maps, which was the first thing that we need. We needed to see whether the work we had done before the referendum was now going to be confirmed by the industries that we had in Gibraltar. And those heat maps formed the basis of the beginning of our negotiation for Gibraltar's inclusion in the withdrawal agreement. And then, together with TLAC, which we organized with the unions, the Chamber and the Federation, the work we did for the beginning of the negotiation of the future relationship treaty, which is still negotiation that's ongoing.
So that was the beginning, and throughout, what would you say, what do you remember of all that work of a no deal and the roller coaster ride over these 7 years, the ups and downs?
It has been a roller coaster. I mean, COVID was, of course, transformational. Intense, but COVID came and went in 36 months, in effect, from starting with huge intensity to sort of petering out after 36 months or so, and the World Health Organization declaring the end of the pandemic. Brexit never ends. You might say it's the gift that keeps on giving, but it ain't no gift, and what it keeps giving is no pleasure. And it's put intense pressure on me and on my ministerial team. It's put intense personal pressure on me, because you've got to understand, we have held hundreds of meetings. That has meant thousands of hours dedicated to something that in 2015 was not on the radar, right? And became the most intense reality. The amount of effort that has gone into thinking about solutions, let alone the number of hours and the work that has gone into implementing solutions. Well, look, today, Gibraltar and its relationship with the hinterland, Europe, and the Campo de Gibraltar feels a little like normality. It feels like a little like before the referendum. Indeed, to an extent, not because of the work that the government has done. Let's just look dispassionately at this, because of the identity of the Spanish foreign ministers and the Spanish interior ministers, who since Señor Dastis have not had the virulence in their approach to Gibraltar that Señor Margallo has. You might say we're better since Señor Dastis became Foreign Secretary in Spain than we were before, when we were members of the European Union and Señor Margallo was Foreign Secretary, and we had the instances with Braña in the 1990s when he was relevant in Cádiz, etc. And we were in the European Union, but we had that trouble. So that feeling of normality belies the reality of what could happen in the event that we were to have fallen off the cliff edge and not had the benefits of the transitional period under the withdrawal agreement, or indeed what could happen if we were to have a no negotiated outcome, which of course we would manage, but I've always been very clear, no negotiated outcome, nobody can expect we can deliver a reality which is near the sort of fluidity that we have today, let alone the fluidity that we would like to achieve if we have the treaty.
I was going to say that we haven't really felt the full impact because there have been ongoing negotiations. It hasn't been a total cut-off point.
That's right.
But how easy, how difficult is it to actually quantify the impact on the economy, on socially?
Oh, well, look, I would say to you it's impossible. I would say to you it's impossible, and COVID, to an extent, is responsible for that impossibility. Because remember, as we were dealing with the implementation of the withdrawal agreement and the New Year's Eve agreement had not yet happened, COVID happened, and COVID had an economic effect which will mask the effect of Brexit, and therefore measuring Brexit is not easy, not yet easy, because you need to have a couple of cycles of post-Brexit reality without COVID in it in order to be able to compare our pre-Brexit and our post-Brexit reality. But you've said something in the way that you phrased your question which I think is fundamental, that sometimes we seek to measure things in terms of numbers and in terms of economic consequence and the consequences for business, etc. And that's, of course, hugely important. But there is a social consequence here, a social consequence for people's lives, how they plan their lives, what it means in terms of how they can see their families, if you've got cross-border families, how they come to work, the social consequence of coming and going from work and the consequence that may have from families wherever you live on either side of the frontier, whether you're receiving care from somebody who comes from across the frontier, and of course the effect on families, my family, other families who have been exposed to the work that's had to be done during the Brexit period, is for me obviously a live example, but many others will have different examples in their own lives. And too often I think we fall into the trap in politics of going for a statistic which is measured financially, and we don't understand the underlying reality of what Brexit has meant, can mean, and will mean, even if we have a treaty.
After all these heartaches, looking back at these 7 years in hindsight, how do you feel? Do you feel the UK sold us when they didn't include us in the withdrawal agreement?
Remember that we were included in the withdrawal agreement for the transitional period. There was an idea that the UK might leave us out of the withdrawal agreement. I had a cast iron guarantee from Theresa May that we would not be excluded from the withdrawal agreement. I had that from David Davis as well when he was Minister for Brexit. That was assimilated and accepted by Boris Johnson as Prime Minister when he took over, and all of the work that we did was designed to ensure that Gibraltar did not fall off the cliff edge and we had the benefit of the transitional period in the withdrawal agreement. The leader of the opposition used to foolishly call me Theresa May's cheerleader for the withdrawal agreement. Well, the withdrawal agreement was only good for Gibraltar because it ensured that we were part of the transitional period, and it would have been disastrous for Gibraltar and for Gibraltar businesses if we did not have that transitional period applicable to Gibraltar. We're hardly in limbo. We're hardly in limbo. But I think it's important to reflect on that because I was nonplussed to be called Theresa May's cheerleader. I was supporting the withdrawal agreement because I knew it was good for Gibraltar and it delivered for Gibraltar. The next stage, which was the TCA, which the United Kingdom secured for itself. Keith Aspelli said yesterday the UK had bagged the TCA, sounding a little bit like a pound shop Nigel Farage, as I said yesterday. We were not included in it. Of course we weren't included in it. You do need to realise, in doing the analysis, and I think I would commend this analysis to Keith, that what we want in our future relationship with the European Union is completely different to the things that the UK wanted under Boris Johnson and what the TCA provided for. In other words, the TCA is about controlling immigration and creating an immigration border which is harder between the United Kingdom and the European Union than ever before. Our negotiation is about removing immigration controls and bringing more fluidity to immigration between us and the European Union than ever before. The UK TCA is about creating a barrier in the movement of goods in order to be able to trade in goods with the rest of the world. Our negotiation is about getting rid of the barriers on trade in goods in order to be able to have a more fluid relationship in the trade in goods with the European Union, whilst maintaining an important footnote here, our ability to also have a trade in goods with the United Kingdom, which is our principal market in services, where we have now still a single market in services between us and the United Kingdom. This is extraordinarily complex. So you can't, in a Trumpian way, try and say they sold us, they didn't sell us. Far from selling us, the United Kingdom has given us something it has not given any other overseas territory, which we have earned and deserved because we were part of the single market in services with the UK when we were members of the European Union, and that is what we know as GAR in the industry, which is a single market in financial services between us and the United Kingdom, so that we can continue to provide the services into the UK, a sophisticated market, in financial services, in gaming, etc., which are the backbone of what our key industries do. So I think we've done an excellent job in the relationship with the United Kingdom. I think the United Kingdom has stood by Gibraltar in many of the work, of the areas of work that we've had to deliver on. Indeed, the United Kingdom has gone beyond what we might have even expected them to do in the context of the provision of support from Whitehall. Now, not talking about COVID and the vaccine and the sovereign guarantee, which is COVID related, but in the work that we have done on Brexit, the United Kingdom is going to help us to deliver something which is anathema to UK politicians, the opposite of what they want. They are helping us to deliver for Gibraltar. So I think it is churlish to suggest, as the leader of the opposition has, that somehow we've been let down by the United Kingdom, or that it was possible to do the work that we've done already in 21 months. Remember that the negotiation with the European Union has only been going on for 21 months, from the 5th of October 2021. I mean, people forget that the chronology of this is so awful, and layer over the chronology of Brexit that has made us forget the timings. So I think it is wrong to suggest that we've been let down by the United Kingdom. I would be the last person to be an apologist for a United Kingdom government that was letting us down. In fact, I will be the first one to sound the klaxon and the alarm should they even pretend to suggest that they might let us down, but they're not letting us down, and it is wrong to suggest to the people of Gibraltar that they are.
Chief Minister, we find ourselves here today. There's going to be an election, a snap election in Spain. You've got an election coming up sometime in October, we understand.
Is that right?
And I don't know, you said you wouldn't be able to do direct democracy, so we can sort of I
said I might not be able to do direct
democracy.
Doing
the maths. But after all this and finding yourself here now, is Brexit less scary?
You don't pay me to be scared. You pay me to deal with stuff. But on the 24th of June 2016, I was very scared for my children and for their future. Now I can see very clearly where we're taking Gibraltar. I look back and I think that we've done a very good job of getting Gibraltar to where she is today. And I think that we can do an even better job now of finalizing these arrangements. We are 95%, 99% down the road of finalizing these arrangements. There is a fork in the road. We're also 100% ready if the fork in the road takes us to a no negotiated outcome. So I'm very confident that I know what we have to do for Gibraltar. I know where my role, the role of the Chief Minister of Gibraltar, fits into that and how to deliver that for Gibraltar. I know that my team is ready to finalize that. That includes the political members of my team and the official members of my team. But look, at the end of the day, the people of Gibraltar will soon make a judgment. Whether it's in October or not, I won't tell you. When they make that judgment, I will remain available to deliver whatever aspect of that role they want me to deliver, whether they want me to be the guy driving this finally to its conclusion, knowing as I do every inflection of the face of my official opponents in the negotiating team for the European Union and for Spain, or whether they want to put somebody else in the driving seat at the last minute. And my view is they won't want to change the generals in the last week of the war.